Welcome back. I'm Tedward and welcome back to my 2023 Honda Civic Type R, the FL5, now in winter mode. And this was not an easy thing to accomplish right off the bat. And anyone who's just bought an FL5 and has gone onto Tire Rack or Discount Tire Direct looking for an easy solution to their winter wheel and tire setup has been greeted with nothing, because they basically haven't released any of the specs to these companies. So usually the cheat code is you go on to these websites, you put in your make, model, year, etc., and it says, hey, this is what you can use, these tires will fit, these wheels will fit, and you go to town. Not the case with the FL5. However, we're lucky because the FK8 basically has the exact same wheel and tire setup, aside from the fact that they were 20s instead of 19s like they are in the FL5. So today I'm going to tell you what I chose, how they fit, and how they handle on the FL5. So first, I'll just get it out of the way. I went to Tire Rack. I got a TR Motorsport C4 wheel. It's an 18x8. And then I went with a 245/40 R18 tire. This is a Blizzak WS90. Now, the tire sort of chose me because typically I've been going with a performance winter tire. And I like a performance tire because my snow tires aren't necessarily just for snow, they're for cold weather. Remember, your snow tires aren't just so you can get up the mountain in the snow, they're also because your PS4Ss, like this came with originally, are not going to grip very well, and they're just going to become hockey pucks and potentially just break in cold temperatures. So a softer rubber compound on a winter tire is really the best part about them. And then in the event that you are stuck in blizzard conditions or you need to climb that hill in snow or ice, these insanely deep treads are going to do the trick. But they make performance winter tires now, which allow you to still feel like you have control over the vehicle, because a lot of times these older style winter tires that I was used to growing up, they were very squishy, so it always kind of felt crummy jumping onto your winter set from your summer set. It was like a big deal to go back to your summers in the springtime because it felt like you had control of your vehicle again. But the problem is, I got this car only a couple of weeks ago, and most people have already purchased their winter tires, which means that they've already been built, inventoried, and sold. So the amount of winter tires on the market right now are low. Inventories are starting to wear thin. So I was going to go with the Bridgestone WinTrack Pro, which is what I had on my E92 M3. They were not available in this size, and you are often size limited because a lot of times you're not going to be able to get the tire you want in the size you want depending on the car you're driving. So I did get lucky, and these new Bridgestone WS90s were available. These are not a performance winter, they're just typically your studless ice and snow tire. However, they are not as roly-poly and squishy as the WS70s and 80s of the past. Bridgestone does make a performance winter tire, but they do not make them in this size. So let's also talk about the goals of a winter tire. I wanted to go with an 18-inch wheel because I want more sidewall. The roads get really crummy in the winter because you get frost heaves, which are like big frozen bumps in the pavement. The plows tear up all the pavement, so you get giant potholes, and you are going to just bust open your wheels and tires. But I was nervous about this 32 offset because, look, this is a really tight fender well, and I actually went and test fitted them on my friend's FK8. Well, he had them on his FK8. I popped one off and tried it in the front and rear. I wanted to make sure that I was not going to be rubbing on this fender, and you know what? I'm going to get a million comments for how filthy my car is. It's going in for its first wash at Craft Detailing in just a couple days, so we're going to clean this up and get it up to stuff. But my goodness, look at all the junk that comes through this vent onto the door. That is going to be the bane of my existence. But anyway, the tires fit just perfectly. I'm not rubbing, I'm not hitting. I can go full lock side to side, and that was the main concern when I was putting this together, because there was no system telling me this is definitely going to work. I kind of had to just try it out and see for myself. Also, in the car now, I have WeatherTech floor mats. Again, not available on the FL5. You cannot go onto the WeatherTech website and select 2023 Civic Type R. It doesn't exist. So I went with the standard hatchback with no charge ports. That's how you select which mats you get. I got the front and rear, and that covers that hump. And now I'm good to go, and I don't have to think about destroying my beautiful red carpet every time I get into the car. So in most cases with modern cars, you're going to want to go down a size, which allows you to add more rubber on the sidewall. Then comes figuring out which tire sizes are going to function, because you're never, well, not never, but most of the time, you're not going to get the exact diameter of your standard tire that came with the car. So you want to stay plus or minus 3%. That's pretty much the maximum of where you want to be, because what you don't want to do is you don't want to put a giant tire on it, or you don't want to put a tiny tire on it, because it's going to impact the way the car behaves, and it's also going to change the speedometer in eventually an annoying way. You don't want to be off by 5 miles per hour. Now the car comes standard with a 265 section tire. That means it's 265 millimeters wide. You want to go narrower on your snow tire because you'll have better snow performance with a narrower tire. You don't want to sit and float on top of that snow. You want to dig in a little bit. So a slightly narrower tire, like I went with a 245, is going to give me better grip and traction in ugly, deep snow. So that was the mindset for that. But additionally, I just wanted to have a reasonable sidewall, but I didn't want to go crazy, because you could, for example, go with a 235/45. Now that starts to push the boundaries of the diameter. You're getting a little tall there, not exactly what I wanted, and I didn't want the car to feel too squishy, especially because I'm going with this Blizzak and not a performance winter tire. I already knew that this deep tread was going to have kind of a squishy feel to it. You know, the turn in now, it doesn't have that crazy lightning fast vibe that the PS4S's have on the 19 with less sidewall. The benefit to having these Blizzaks, though, is that now the car isn't as darty and crazy as it is on the 19. So fortunately, because this car is a little bit hardcore and it's really pointy and sharp and rigid, by switching to these Blizzaks, it doesn't numb the car in a really ugly, deleterious way. It actually just feels like a normal car. It's still a little squishy. You know, there's a delay while it settles into that tread. But it's not unsavory. It doesn't make me feel like I've lost control of the car. And also, in the winter, this is what I want. I want to be able to run over kind of the junky, torn up pieces of road without worrying about busting my wheels. Because like we saw, there's a big pothole I just went over right there. As we saw in the Acura NSX that I had, unfortunately I didn't get it on camera, but I hit a pothole on the highway. An unavoidable pothole. It just was there. Sorry, man. This car's next to me. Can't switch lanes. You're hitting it. And it bent the wheel and it busted the tire. Now, it was on a snow tire, but it was on a 19-inch wheel. So to give yourself a little extra sidewall to play with gives a little extra compression before it destroys the wheel that you need. And look, we're in a world where most of us aren't on run flats. I'm certainly not, and most cars do not have spare tires. So any situation where I don't have to be sitting on the side of the road waiting for a tow truck is all right by me. Road noise of the WS90. Present, but not bad. I think the trade-off, knowing that there's pretty much no environment that I'm going to get stuck with these, is fine with me. You can definitely hear that there's some, somewhat loud tread, but doesn't really bother me. In comparison to a performance winter tire, these WS90s are probably going to save my butt here and there if I'm in ugly conditions where there's deep packed snow, things like that, because they're not aimed at just being a good cold weather tire. They're aimed at being a good ice and snow tire. And that also means that these are going to stop better, which is critical in the winter. You just have to check your six, because the guys behind you might be on all seasons, or God forbid a PS4S. That's not great. So I do feel like I've given myself a little extra insurance with this Blizzak, having a good snow performance, better braking performance than, say, the performance snow tires like the LM Blizzak or the Bridgestone Windtrack Pro when it comes to being in the ice and snow. So of course, the day that I'm out here talking about the importance of winter tires, in December, it's 62 degrees. Great, I could have really had a good time on my PS4s today, but I wanted to give you a quick introduction, tell you what I went with for the FL5 winter setup, just so in case you are sitting there scrambling, thinking, oh my God, are these going to fit? Am I at the right size? This is what I did, an 18x8 TR Motorsport C4 plus 32 offset with a 245/40/18 tire. So thank you guys so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive. Please, if you are driving in cold and snowy or icy conditions, do yourself a favor, do the people around you a favor, get a decent winter tire so you don't slide off the road and die, because you may have all-wheel drive, you may have a good front-wheel drive system, but if you can't stop or turn the car, it doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one.